right, now I'm old, I get to use these. That's how it goes. JP, I know you're a legend now, still not giving you the team. So I apologize for that. Another thing that I want to get straight before we start, and this is proof now, because it's out there on the little screens. So you see my little boy's hair right there. That was because of me, not because of my wife. That was because of me, and it's out there. Now, what a tremendous honor it is to be here. Would like to congratulate all the inductees. I mean, between Cindy and Tiffany, I think you could have gotten a few more caps for the national team. You know, over 350, but that's not bad. Dr. Bob, who we've known for a long, long time, congratulations. Don Garber, you're doing outstanding things with the league. Well done. And to the Hunt family, FC Dallas, I think the staff, I don't know if Oscar and them are still here. I know they have a game. Tremendous staff, tremendous club, FC Dallas. The Hunt family, who I played for at Columbus for a short while, and what a truly, truly remarkable venue and building that you've set in the city of Frisco. I know the time, the effort, the money that's gone into it. Truly remarkable. When Tab Ramos surprised me with this nomination for induction into the Hall of Fame, you start to think a little bit what you want to say. Are you going to go through all the things that happened in the U.S., all the things that happened in the world, where I played, whether it's in Denmark, whether it's in Istanbul, whether it's here in the United States? And I thought it was probably fitting to break it down into 4 different sections. One would be the haters and the doubters. And those of you that know me know that I'll take all that on board. One would be the sacrifices of the fear of failure. One would be the players themselves, and the others would be the helpers along the way. I heard Cindy say it, I've heard others say it. We don't get here on our own, that's for sure. So on the haters and the doubters, 2 things happened to me one early in my life and one early in my career. So as I was 13 years old and I was walking out of school one day, I heard this, "Friedel!" It was like a drill sergeant. "Get back here!" I turned around, and for Jeff Agus over there, John Harks, they'll know my personality. So this was the varsity American football coach who tells me, "We have a meeting right now." And I said, "First of all, my name is Brad. It's not Friedel. Second of all, I'm playing soccer next year." "How on earth would you play soccer? You will amount to absolutely nothing in your life if you play soccer. And anyone who's from the Midwest, maybe even Ohio, it's a meat and potato kind of place. It is American football, basketball, baseball." And he looked at me like I had 10 heads. And I walked out, and that was it, and I was playing soccer. Second thing that happened to me early in my career, I signed for Galatasaray. I don't know if anyone has ever been over to Istanbul. I don't know if anyone's ever been to a Galatasaray-Fenerbahce game. If you can play in that derby, and if you can live in that environment, you can play and you can live anywhere in the world. But my first week there, I sit down, I walk into the locker room. You're only allowed 3 foreigners at that time. And one of the players who speaks a little bit of English comes over, sits next to me, and puts his arm around me. And he says, "That's my best friend over there." And it was the other goalkeeper. And he goes, "You're not wanted here, and you're not needed here." And that's the welcome. So very early in my life and very, very early in my career, I knew what it took, and I knew I had what it took inside to persevere through those times. Because not everyone wants to like you, not everyone will like you, not everyone will love you, but you have to earn every ounce of respect that you get in this game. And sometimes you have to start at the bottom level to get up to the top. And those were 2 great learning lessons early on in life. When you get into the sacrifices, and I kind of put this into a category of sacrifices and fear of failure. I still have the fear of failure today. It's what spurns me on. But they're little things, like Dr. Macknick over here. He wouldn't have any idea why, or he probably would. He'd probably think it was because of the money. When I was in college, that I would go work at his camps. It had nothing to do with the money. It had everything to do with wanting to put myself in front of the national team goalkeeping coach. And when I got to his camp, you better believe I had a fear of failure, so I was going to work as hard as I could to impress him. And that's the way things operated in my life. Mr. Harris over there, the things that I used to do, this guy could get right up in here, right in your head, like you wouldn't believe. If I made a mistake in a game, I'd be at training working on replicating that mistake 100 times, 200 times, 300 times. It's a fear of failure. And I guess to put my professional life into perspective with the fear of failure, I was playing at Galatasaray and we were in the cup final. Fenerbahce Stadium, 55,000 people. The stadium was full at about 12 noon. Kickoff was 8 p.m. You knew your fans were there. We only had probably 3,000 fans in the stadium, and there were riots that were happening all over the city. We end up winning the game, and my coach, Graham Souness at the time, a Scottish legend of a player, legend of a coach, now an incredibly gifted pundit, goes and grabs the largest Galatasaray flag that you could possibly imagine, that one individual could hold, and he goes and he stakes it in the middle of Fenerbahce's field. If you Google it today, you'll see it there. As we're getting ready to lift the cup, everything from the stadium starts raining down on us. The bottles, the rocks, anything that was sharp, anything that could hurt us. The police shields came over us. We got escorted off the podium. We weren't allowed to lift the cup. 3 hours in the locker room. We finally get on our bus. All the windows broken out. They break the police lines, try to tip the bus over. As we finally get out of there, the only thing that went through my mind, we won the cup. You know, I was with Tom Meredith earlier today. It's not too dissimilar to Haiti, to what happens in Costa Rica sometimes. But the fear of losing, the fear of failing, the sacrifices that we give weren't really sacrifices to me. And I loved every minute of that. The players. Okay. So while we're all here, you know that I don't mind the doubters and the haters. So let's just get it out in the open. Who was better, me, Casey, or Tony? We can all debate it right now. It's no problem, no. The fact of the matter is, this debate goes on and on and on. The great thing about it, as we're all friends today, is that we made each other better. If you have that competition, you can go places. What we have in this country now is competition. It's starting to get there, and we can go places. In the rest of the world, they have competition, and it is fierce, and we can go places. No goalkeeper can stand up here, especially a goalkeeper. Hard even for an outfield player. But no goalkeeper can stand here and openly accept an honor, like getting inducted into a Hall of Fame, being voted Player of the Year without good players in front of them. It's impossible. You need that defender to block that extra angle. You need someone to save it off the line when you mess up. You need a striker to score a goal. We're not going to score the goal too often, although I think I've scored more left-footed goals than you, Harksey. I got the one. Not you, Goose. You're left-footed. So, but you need the players in front of you, and the amount of players that I was so fortunate to play with, both American and international, is truly remarkable. And someone was telling me the other day that, yeah, you, just me, I paved the way for American players. Absolutely false. Absolutely false. There were players when we did not have a professional league here, like a John Harkes, like an Eric Winalda, like a Roy Wegerle, a Tom Dooley, an Ernie Stewart who was already over there, Tab Ramos, Pete Vermes. These guys paved the way for me. They're the ones that unlocked the first door. They're the ones that opened it the first time. Myself and Claudio Reyna and Joe Max Moore and Brian McBride's, Eddie Lewis's, John O'Brien's, we may have stepped through and really taken our chance, but those guys are the ones. I think it's important to remember there's always going to be someone to do something better than us. Tim mentioned that some records might not be broken. All records are there to be broken. It might take time, and I hope somebody does, and I hope another American breaks the record. I hope every American player breaks every other American player's record. That means that the sport is on the rise. And I think that would be a tremendous achievement. And then with the helpers and the tremendous friends that you make along the way, you do need help. When you're young, petulant, yes, I thought I'd get a chuckle over at that table maybe, because I was petulant at one time. You do need a lot of help along the way. You know, whether it's from the youth days, what an incredible support system that I had at home. Mom, Dad, got my aunt and uncle over there, cousin, family over here, my wife Tracy, Isabella, Ray, if you're allowed to look this way now, Allegra. Really lucky stuff when you're growing up. Some names that don't mean anything to you, mean everything to me. Juan Gonzalez Bay Soccer Club, East West Soccer Club. Unknowns in the game to a lot of you, people that started my career. We'll never forget them. Tom Scott, my ice hockey coach. Rich Voyers, a basketball coach. All these people, huge influences on my life. When you get to college, and this is something that the players today have that I never had. So the way I got scouted was not through an incredible academy system like FC Dallas has. The way that I got scouted was Dean Wurzburger missed his flight. And he went back to a small tournament in Virginia. And he saw this athletic goalkeeper playing, and he called Ziggy Schmid. And a special mention has to go out to Ziggy because he helped start my career. Not only start my career, but then kickstart it. He was the one that made the phone calls on my behalf. He was the one that created an incredible environment at UCLA. I know other great environments were at other colleges, but Ziggy was the one that believed in me, and he should have a great mention here today. But if not for that missed flight, who knows? I could have been at Cleveland State University, and I could have become an architect. You have no idea. That was how it was back then. And look what everyone has created nowadays. Mention the amount of academy players that are in the league. Mention the amount of facilities, the stadiums, the time, the effort, the money that everyone has brought into the game. It is truly remarkable to see the change from when I went away to what I came back to. We had, Tim. Sorry, you're the next name on the list. And here we go. So this guy. I don't know how many people in college would do this, but this was the type of work ethic that I probably had in me, but that he brought out in me. So true story. 5 o'clock in the morning would be my wake-up call. I didn't have a car, so I borrowed one from a friend. I lived in Los Angeles. Never rained in Los Angeles, right? It was a VW Cabriolet. I left the top open in the night. It rained all night. I wake up. I have to go to train with him to get at Live Oak Park at 5:30 in the morning in Manhattan Beach. And there's water. There are inches of water in the car. So what do? I get in the car and I go. And I meet with them and I park up on a little angle. And as I park, he hears this and all the water. And I was driving barefoot. And the water, I had water lines up to about my knees. I mean, it was ridiculous. And he looked there and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm not missing training with you. You'll kill me." And he was like, and that's where it was. Another true story with Mr. Harris, World Cup game. We're playing Mexico in Korea. Biggest game United States soccer's history probably at the time, other than maybe the Trinidad game getting into the World Cup. A ball goes up in the air that I should have easily caught, and I go to punch it, and I had a bad punch, and they should have scored off the rebound. I'm not worried about what they're saying back in England. I'm not worried about what the teammates think. I'm not worried about what Bruce Arena's thinking. I am not worried about what the Mexican public's thinking. I'm not worried about what the American public's thinking. Right there on the field in front of hundreds of millions of people, I was worried what year would catch the ball. I knew it was there. And that's what Tim did. Those are the people that help spurn you on, urge you on. When you get into the national teams, a few names. The first 2 years of my national team career, and I never got called into a national team at the young ages. I was always playing basketball or ice hockey, something of that nature. And it was Ziggy who called Lothar Osianda. And Lothar and Colin Ndoras and Pat Vanderlee and Dan Bunya, the first 2 years, never forget how much help, and yes, I worked hard, and yes, I played well for them, but the help that they gave, the phone calls they gave, to then go on to Bore Miljutinovic, one of the craziest head coaches that I have ever had in my life, stay friends today because of the little chain of command. Ziggy to Lothar, Lothar to Bora. You get on to Clive Charles after that, the late Clive Charles, 2000 Olympics. We finished in 4th place. Tremendous history with Clive. And then we move on to you, Sunil. Sunil and I have known each other for a long, long time. And what Sunil probably doesn't realize or take credit for, and the Huns probably don't realize or take credit for, is I was at Galatasaray. I had 6 months left on my contract. They offered me a 2-year extension. Liverpool was interested in me, and that was my boyhood dream, to go play for Liverpool. We didn't play our international games on international fixture dates, and I was getting abused in the media every time I left Galatasaray to come and play for the United States. So we worked hard to create a deal for me to come back to Columbus. I got my caps. I had to say some things, Clark, I know, that when I was getting out the next step off to Liverpool, that was in my younger days. But it was Sunil and the Huns that really came together and helped my career get off the ground. If I don't get the work permit, I do not have 15 or 17 years in the Premier League. That is for sure, and I will never forget that. When I get into the professional game, there's one name in particular I need to thank, and that's Graham Souness. Had a profound impact on my career and an influence, both as a coach and a mentor. We're friends today. For everyone at Liverpool, Galatasaray, Brøndby, Blackburn, Aston Villa, Tottenham, and Columbus Crew, I thank everybody for all the help that they gave me. I always felt over the years that the perception of me, as I wasn't coming back and playing in MLS, I wasn't coming back and I retired a little bit early from the national team, that I was perhaps an MLS hater or a disliker of U.S. soccer. And I'm here to tell you all, the reality couldn't have been further from the truth. I was amazed at the progress when I came back. I'm humbled to have been chosen by the Crafts and won't stop working until my staff and I bring them success. I'm very excited about the future for soccer in the U.S., and I think the upside is bigger than in any other country in the entire world. I truly believe that. So for all the haters and doubters, thank you for making me strong. The fear of failure is always going to be with me. It was an absolute honor to play with all the players. And as Tom Kaiser once said, the only thing that he was probably right about is I wouldn't have amounted to anything, but it had nothing to do with soccer if I didn't have all the help in the room. Thank you.